Hi, I'm Jeannie Keltner, and you're here on Soapbox. That music I've been hearing for 23 years now, and this is my next to the last show that I'm doing on Soapbox. And you've got to be sure to tune in next week at 8 p.m. on Monday night and meet the three women, and possibly later on we'll be adding a fourth, who's a man. Meet the three women who are going to be taking over and being your hosts in the coming months and years. Anyway, it's a bittersweet moment for me tonight because I've enjoyed doing this show, and it's really, as everybody knows, to get to speak your piece is very rare. In fact, I just talked to somebody at a party who said, I can't be myself at work at all. And I thought, wow, I've had the luck all my life of being able to be myself in my job and not having to hide my personality or the defects of my personality, etc. But anyway, it's been wonderful doing this show, Soapbox, and I know it's going to keep on going. So tune in next week to hear more about the future of Soapbox. Now I want to thank the people that underwrite the show for us. We start always with Pieces Pizza. And did you guys have pizza?
Yes.
What did you think?
Wonderful. Pizza.
Yes, people love this pizza. And we thank Pieces Pizza for that. They're on 21st Street between M and N. And it's a wonderful place to hang out. They sell pizza by the piece. They stuff the crust. They use good ingredients. It's very tasty. I just love it. And so many thanks to Jackie and to Tony, who have done this for us, feeding the crew for so long. I like to say that our crew works for peace, and they work for pizza. And of the two, it's much easier to get pizza than it is to get peace. You can ask the folks in Iraq about that. But anyway, the next person that I want to thank is James Israel, who puts out the Humor Times. The Humor Times is a little, a newspaper-like mag with lots of political cartoons and political commentary from a funny point of view. And it's not very expensive. You can check it out at humortimes.com. We're coming into the gift season, and this is that wonderful gift to give to either people who are on our side or people who don't agree with us. Either way, there's something to laugh at and to learn from in this little paper. And James Israel helps us out by advertising our show, which of course Comcast, being a nice corporate entity, refuses to do. So we surprised them. At any rate, and then I want to tell you about two shows coming up at KVMR. This coming Wednesday, 2 days from today, I'm going to be interviewing, I think, one of the most brilliant commentators on the political scene. His name is Paul Craig Roberts. He was Assistant Secretary of the Treasury. He is really knowledgeable about so many things. And he is going to be talking with surprising news because he believes that we're perhaps in a moment of great transition right now, and that we may be moving now from a unipolar world in which the United States throws its weight around and bombs whoever it wants to bomb, to a multipolar world in which other people's needs and interests are considered before decisions are made. And the person who has spearheaded this is Vladimir Putin, who has been demonized beyond belief by the US media. But if you read his speeches, or if you read Paul Craig Roberts, you will find that here is a true leader. You will read things in Vladimir Putin's speeches that you would never, ever hear a US leader say. So frank, so analytical, so humble in a way, and so angry at the whole idea that Russia is being blamed for things that it did not do. It did not do Ukraine. Crimea wanted to be part of Russia. There's lots to learn there. And it's important because we don't want war with Russia. We like to fight countries that don't even have an air force, let alone a really able air force. And we lose anyway. That's the interesting thing. We spend all our money on war, and we haven't won a war since, well, we lost Vietnam. So since World War II. Well, we beat Grenada. Great. So anyway, we're not in good shape as far as our war. Anyway, okay, so that's Wednesday, KVMR at noon. 89.5 on your radio dial, and I'm going to add this. It's a pledge drive. And if you want to show your appreciation of Soapbox in the 23 years that I've been here haranguing you in one area or another, it would be wonderful if you would tune into that show at noon on Wednesday and subscribe to the station. Make a pledge to the station. That would be a really good way to show that you care about alternative media, and I would take it really as a present to me, and it would make me look good at KVMR, which I would like to do. I am not a very good volunteer because they're way up in the mountains, but if we got some money for them, alternative media always needs money. So, the week after that, on the 4th of November, I'm going to be interviewing Michael Parenti on the same show. So I'm not leaving the airwaves, I'm just going, just the voice will be heard, which will be a good relief, easier to do, and not a weekly commitment, as much as I've loved doing Soapbox. So I wanted very much to, I know all my people, they're getting more and more nervous. When is she going to talk to us? Don't be nervous. These are gardeners. They know how to make things grow. That is going to be the knowledge that we really need in these coming years. People who can grow food, you're going to be very popular people. But I did want to talk a little bit about, can you do a close-up on this, dear Allison, about Bernie Sanders. Okay, want to believe something really amazing? Pope Francis just endorsed Bernie Sanders. Think of that. He said it's obvious that the man has a strong sense of doing right by everybody, what everybody needs and wants. And I am so moved by that because Pope Francis is continuing in the tradition of Saint Francis, which is taking an interest in the life around you and healing and caring for the life around you instead of worrying about doctrinaire elements. So I think it's a really exciting moment, and Bernie is doing better every day. And the only thing we have to deal with is the mainstream media, the corporate media, who just wants to keep saying he cannot win. He's not electable. He's not electable. Now, 25,000 people come to his speeches. That's a commitment. But if they get us to believe that, then we will vote the lesser of two evils, and the lesser of two evils always leads to more evil. If you don't make a stand for the good, you were going backwards. And as far as Hillary goes, there are things that are wonderful about Hillary. Somebody says, I just want a woman president. I say woman would be great in a way, but you know, Margaret Thatcher was a woman. Golda Meir was a woman. Madeleine Albright, who thought that the 500,000 deaths in Iraq from sanctions was an acceptable price to pay, she was a woman. So Samantha Powers, the woman who set up the Ukraine coup, she was a woman. I don't think there's any special gift for a color or gender. I think you have to look at the person, at the ideas of the person and the commitment. And Bernie Sanders is paid for by us. He has raised $13 million in contributions less than $50. Think of that. Now, Hillary's biggest backers are the 4 biggest banks that wrecked our economy. And next in line is Big Pharma, who is not our friend, in my opinion. And so I don't think she can make the changes that we need to have made to have a country that will survive and work for everybody. So I'm very excited, and I will be shilling for Bernie Sanders at every chance I get, wearing my button. And when I go out, I always say, hey, what do you think of Bernie? Some people say, who's he? There's the corporate media for you. They don't want anybody to know that Bernie exists, just like they didn't want anybody to know that he won the debate, the first Democratic debate, as proven by everybody who voted. You know, they just, oh, Hillary sailed through. Anyway, because the mainstream media, the corporate media lies, that's the reason we have shows like Soapbox and shows like the Undernews that we do up in KVMR, because we want to get information out to the people. And you know, I heard an interesting thing, and it was distinction. They said information is not knowledge, and knowledge is not wisdom. Well, knowledge is putting information together in a coherent block, And wisdom is running that knowledge by your moral center or your emotional center or your spiritual center and thinking about, is this right or wrong? That's wisdom to my mind. But I can't give you wisdom, of course. I can give a bit of knowledge, but we certainly can keep giving you information. And we don't even have information in this country. We have people who still if you read the comments on Facebook, you think, oh, read, folks, read. Not you, the Facebook writers. Okay, I wanted to go out for the last full show with something really inspiring and super, super positive. And that is this group that you see in front of you right here. They have done a wonderful thing. And I'm going to start with you, Robin Kristacek, because you're the connection to me of these wonderful people. And lay it out a wee bit, what is happening with Ubuntu.
Well, Ubuntu is part of a movement to bring food to people. Basically just to take empty lots and places in neighborhoods that are empty and nothing's happening on them and grow food, because that's the most basic need that we have. And especially in neighborhoods where that they're called food deserts, where there's not enough healthy food available to people. Even more, we need gardens. It's the most basic thing in the world is to grow our own food. It's incredibly grounding to go out and just have your hands in the soil and see what happens.
Everybody here starts to smile. I love it, and they're all nodding away, yeah. Proof.
So that's what's happening. And so we're all part of a garden that's part of a Mount Calvary Baptist Church in Del Paso Heights, which is a food desert. If you go there, you realize...
Hey, what's wrong with Twinkies for every meal? And
diabetes,
all kinds
of problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very exciting. It's magic. You plant the seeds and they grow, and the children's eyes get all big. It's incredibly rewarding.
And so, what do you do there?
I'm a volunteer, and I just go and do what has to be done.
And we're going to have coordinates up here with phone numbers and website. Do you have a website? Maybe not.
Ubuntu Green does, yes.
Oh, Ubuntu Green. Mm-hmm. So, and you can get involved too. Do you know what I just read recently? And this is truly magic. That there are some of the same ingredients that there are in the mind-altering drugs like SSRIs, like name some.
Prozac,
Paxil. Some of the ones that they give to people who are depressed, etc. Some of the same chemicals in them are in the soil.
Yeah. And the good bacteria that help your gut, that changes the mood too. Yeah.
And that's very important too, because we're all suffering from toxic attacks on our gut bacteria.
Yeah.
This is newly known, the gut bacteria, known before vaccines were, known after vaccines were pushed. So that's one of the things I'm going to be working against. I am working against. Mandatory vaccinations. 50 vaccinations by the time you're 9 months old. Crazy. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you to say your name, because I should have written them all down, but I didn't.
My name is Brian Ridgway. I'm also a volunteer at Ubuntu Green for the Mount Calvary Community Garden. And we've got some really exciting plans for the garden. And we're really excited about it. We just finished our first harvest, and we're starting our second one for this fall, and very exciting, very exciting.
Now, what were you harvesting?
We harvest quite a bit of things. We've got some pictures here. We've had everything in the garden, from herbs to tomatoes to cucumbers, squash.
Let's look at this one.
A couple things here.
Whoa, are those big yellow squash?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love those.
Squash and spaghetti squash and
some beans too.
Okay, are we okay? Yeah, good. Look how nice and clear it is. It comes across just beautifully. And what's the green in front?
Those are beans, yeah. Oh, growing in front. Those are those are squash leaves, I believe.
Aha.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So what has changed you, Brian, in working in the garden?
just an appreciation for for the beauty and the simplicity of what we need every day to to feed and energize ourselves, and to know that that we're doing this organically with no pesticides, and that we're using things that's fresh from the soil that was put here on Earth for us to utilize, and so the change in me has just been the respect for how beautiful this is and how rewarding it can be to us, and that we can give back. So many people are in need of food who may not have access to food, and this is it. When we have an opportunity to be able to do that, it's exciting to be in a position to help.
Wow, to make something out of nothing, really.
Yeah.
Nothing. Hours of hard work. Very hard work.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yes.
that's one thing that has changed. I think working in the garden some of the weekends after the sweat and the beat downing of the sun, I definitely kind of feel a little bit more rejuvenated and a lot more tired on my weekends. But definitely an appreciation
Been
for it.
working in the garden.
Okay, there's that. Can now, now
Shoveling
let's-
mulch, yeah.
Well, hold it to this camera.
This one here.
Yeah. Now, you are
I'm Julia.
Julia.
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Modell.
Julia Modell. Tell us about what got you into the garden.
Okay, well, I was telling Robin this earlier. So I'm actually studying agriculture at Davis, and I'm particularly interested in urban agriculture as a way to get to a more localized food system. And so I was looking online about different programs, and Ubuntu Green was the main one that kind of put environmental justice on the forefront of their kind of goals.
Now, what do you mean by environmental justice? People might not have heard that phrase.
Sure. Kind of what Robin was talking about getting food to the food deserts that exist, all over the country, and getting to those first out of, and really focusing on the people least advantaged in terms of access to food. And
Just the opposite of the T-shirt I saw once that I have always loved. It had golden arches on it. And it said, "Let the pigs eat garbage." That's the attitude, really, that runs. You can be sure that the executives of McDonald's don't eat at McDonald's.
Right.
No, they eat the finest of organic. They eat the kind of food that you get out of your garden, fresh from the garden, no pesticides. So, what is working in the garden? How has that changed you, made a difference to you?
yeah, it's been amazing, because also in school, it's very theoretical, the stuff that I'm learning, to be able to apply it. I mean, you never would imagine how much mulching goes into, urban gardening, but we do a lot of that. And so, yeah, it's just been nice to be able to face all these problems that you hear about, we've had a couple pest problems that we've overcome, and we're all learning together. And it's really important for me to be a part of this community, I think, because, it's a lot different than anything I've been a part of before.
Well, right, now I'm trying to remember the wonderful quote from the baseball player about theory and practice. It might come to me, it's about, well, that's okay in practice, but in theory. Or in theory, no, in practice, theory, anyway, I should have thought about that. How do you get the food to the people who need it?
Well, what we're doing is that as we've done our first crop, this was our first harvest.
I ate
it. We've all been putting them out, making them available for display, and for those that want to come, we usually have them somewhere in the bin. We're actually, this next harvest, we're going to be looking to have a communal area where people can come that want the food. We're trying to, of course, we want to figure out, because it's organic, they don't, they can spoil really quickly and things like that. So we're trying to figure out the best way to be able to make that available to the community who wants to come by. And then also, we always are encouraged those who want to come out and help in the garden to learn and work and also to give back, so that we can do more things and give more food out to people who need it.
It's a beautiful cycle.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you are?
Sharon Blunt.
Sharon Blunt.
And I like being in the garden because it's Very well, yeah. I like to take pictures. I'm a paparazzi. Taking pictures.
Oh, it's good to have the garden paparazzi.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm a picker, picking the
Okay.
harvest.
Now, really, let's have, how do you, like that you can hold up, let's hold up the one at the end, and then we'll hold up this one too.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Sister.
And she
That,
has,
it's a pretty lot, too.
and she
got
has
green ear around
peas
it?
and okra in her little pot.
I don't know
Her
what
little
to
bowl.
know. Just know that's Julie closing her eyes.
And the one that you've got is just the folks
It's
working in the
working.
Those are
garden.
my sons,
That's also
myself
close.
on that picture.
So Sheila, what has changed you in being in the garden?
So Sharon.
Sharon, sorry.
I just love being in the garden because of the beautiful birds in the morning, hearing the birds tweet, tweet, and just to meditate, to just really get down into the dirt and just plant,
Right.
plant the seed.
Right.
Oh, golly, so many words I can't even.
But I'm very touched the way you said
Yes.
about being in nature. When we're demonstrators, Robin and I, and we're often down on some corner holding up big signs, in all kinds of weather. And I say I've always liked that because it's not often that you get to go stand outside for a couple hours. Usually you're passing through or something like that. But to work in a garden, of course, it's the birds, it's the smell, it's the air.
Yes,
Yes.
the aroma is meditating. It's just relaxing away from everything, and to get away from something that might bother you. You just go right there in peace and just talk with the vegetables, and talk to God, and just
They're all there.
They're there.
Yes.
They're there.
Yes.
Yeah, one time I was in the parking lot of the Unitarian Church, and some little poppies had sort of seated themselves around the trees in that parking lot, and a woman was over in an apartment block there, and I said something like, "Aren't these poppies beautiful?" And she said, she said, "When I put my hands in the dirt, I threw away my tranquilizers." And then when I heard about how they have some of the same elements, I thought, wow, that's really interesting that we probably know intuitively. And then when you add the good bacteria from the biome,
Right.
we really need the good bacteria. Everybody likes to sterilize everything in the U.S.
yeah,
And we're
yeah.
the most corrupted country in the world. So what has something changed you, do you think, Sharon, in this whole experience?
Well,
Or made you more? You just were what you were.
yes.
Okay. Nobody has to. If you're okay where you are, you don't have to change.
Yeah.
Okay, Aeropostale.
Arjane.
Arsene?
Arjane.
Arjane.
Uh, bleh, bleh.
What got you down there?
Well, at first it was because my nana kind of dragged me down there, but then eventually I started liking it, and so I spent most of my summer there. Like I would try to get there in the morning and then hope that my nana would pick me up so I could go to a club thing because I went to summer camp. I would come almost every day.
Little louder.
I spent most of my summer there. It's really fun working in the garden because I get to eat all the tomatoes.
Oh, anything like a fresh tomato from the vine?
Like, ask anyone who's been in the garden. Almost every time I'm out there, I will be picking as many tomatoes as physically possible and shoving them in my face.
Oh. So when you leave, the garden is much diminished from when you arrive. And it's walking out.
And
And
there's so many tomatoes, it's hard. And then I'm scared to put my hand all the way in there
because those
because
Aren't they awful?
beetles. It's like I don't
those
know.
big hornworms.
We found it, yeah.
Yeah.
That and a potato bug. If I dig and find a potato bug, I have to stop digging for the day. I come back later. They're so bad. Okay. So, do you think it's changed you being in that garden?
Okay, to be honest, normally I am a total introvert. So I'm inside on the computer. It's pretty much forced me to go outside and enjoy the sunshine, even though it baked me into a crisp this summer.
Wow.
So it was really fun though. But then when more people came, it got a little bit more social. So still a complete introvert, but it was like more fun. And then when I'm the only one out there, because there are times where it's like, I'm not leaving yet.
Oh.
So I'll finish working and then I'll put the shovels and stuff away. I'll end up talking to the plants because, like,
Well, it really is interesting because as parents, I don't know how many parents, parent? We don't like to force our children to do things. But I hear in this story from Arsene that if you force them to do something, I'm very serious about this. If you really think they need to do it, it's good to push.
Yes.
And because in the end, they say, I didn't want to go at first, but I'm so happy that I went.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the next question. Do you think this is making a difference? Oh, let's, of course, dear Allison, can you get this on the camera, this beautiful parsley,
Mint.
mint and
Basil.
basil. Do we have any oregano in there?
No.
No?
I don't
I
see
think
it
we can
today.
bring that
Oh,
right
wow,
today.
it's truly beautiful. Okay. Oh, yes. The Greeks, when the Greeks were having a banquet, in between the courses, they would rope up a little bouquet of herbs, and then they would just pass those around because they had stuffed themselves so much. Remember, I guess it was the Romans who vomited between courses. That's what we're going to be living with if we keep this inequality of wealth. We're going to have people in the 1% having to eat 4 or 5 meals a day,
Wow.
and they're going to have to vomit in between times, just to spend their money. But anyway, but it's a great idea if you pass around a bouquet of herbs because,
Helps you digest, I think. Gets
and
the
also
digestion
have you found that you're probably, for me, the more I work with food, the less I eat of the food. I mean, I don't feel as
Because you're
ravenous.
smelling,
Right.
Just
it satisfies you.
dealing with it,
Yeah.
touching it, choosing it, playing, and etc.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think it's made a difference in your community? Brian, I'll start with you.
Sure. I think that it has, and it's going to. Like I said, we're fairly new. This process we started over 2 years ago in the planning and development of putting the garden together. We did what's called a charrette, and we got stakeholders involved where we reached out to the community. We had different organizations that were there from the city, from city planning. We had architects there to draw them up based on the comments of people to say, hey, I'd like to see a fountain here, or I'd like to see a meditation area here. All those things were put together by the input of the community. It was a weekend event that we had. We opened it up through the hours of the day. People came in and got to make various comments on how they like to see and how they like to input in the garden. So that's really how it was created. So it's very interesting and very rewarding to see how this has grown all from this concept that we said, hey, the church has land just sitting here. So many other things that we have and want to do on a greater scale in terms of doing a family life community center, having a charter school, having an employment center, and we thought that the garden was a way for us to be able to have the seed planted for those other things to come.
Beautiful, yeah.
And so it's been very inspirational in just seeing all that. And so we want to get more of the community involved. And so as we do the second harvest, we're looking into partner with other organizations on how to outreach to the community to let them know, hey, this is here for you. I mean, you helped, so many of us helped us to put this plan together. Now let's work together to do more.
Well, remember Soapbox, and you guys can make use of Soapbox if you have a meeting or something like that. Go to Soapbox Sacramento Facebook page,
Excellent.
and you can say, any chance you could announce this, and it works in,
Absolutely.
way to publicize things that are going to be happening. And when we have a moment, if we'll get the information of websites and phone numbers, etc., on the screen, because people can come and join. And have you had some? All I have to do is speak the word. It's just beautiful. It's not like a garden, is it? I'd have to dig and dig and dig and mulch.
It's some hard
In
work.
fact,
Is there time to talk about a partnership with within the community.
Sure.
We've partnered with one of the small grocery stores. There's no big grocery stores in the neighborhood, but one of those small, old-fashioned, and
Mom and
they,
pops?
yes, and they give us their rotten produce, basically.
For
And we
compost.
spend a lot of
Compost.
time taking off the little tags and making compost. And then we bring them our excess herbs and things like that for them to. So it's a nice partnership.
And are you
Starting.
bringing them any vegetables?
Not yet. We don't have
Quite enough?
enough excess yet, but down the road, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We've got a children's garden that we have. There's a 3-phase process for the garden. We're in the first phase of it. But our next phase we'll be looking at adding a chicken coop, a greenhouse, a fenced around area for the children's garden, an educational area there. We're going to do aquaponics, where we'll have the plants are grown and developed by the water and the fish and things like that.
This is beautiful.
A barbecue in a gazebo area just for
A dance
events.
floor. Where the band will play.
We'll have a stage. We'll eventually have a stage, and then we're going to provide access to it. For people to come to be able to share and work with us in the garden. I'd like to say that we are out there on pretty much just about every weekend doing some work.
Not
in
every day for me, Ms. Rock.
some
Almost
are
every day?
Every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Someone is there every day, do you think?
Almost.
Yeah, almost
What,
every day.
what address?
3407 Altos Avenue.
Altos.
Altos
Yeah.
Avenue.
Come on to the back.
And the El Paso Heights area at
By the
Mount Calvary
church.
Yes.
By-
95838.
95838. Yes.
Yeah, because people need that for their GPS.
Yes.
Usually the mornings. The afternoons are often too hot
Yeah.
even still. So the mornings
Typically
we're there.
between 8 and 12, we're out there.
Yeah.
You'll see us, so just come on in and join us.
And it's Mount Zion Baptist?
No.
Mount Calvary Missionary
Mount
Baptist
Calvary
Church.
Missionary Baptist.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's come to you. What has been the difference, the biggest difference between the theories that they're perpetrating at UC Davis and the practice that you were doing in Del Paso Heights?
Well, that's tough. There are different fields of track, like ideas in Davis through the different, different professors push different ideas, but
Is there enthusiasm for small-scale gardening and
I think there is, yeah.
growing?
I think there's a lot of talk about how that has to be what is coming next for us, where more people have their hands in the dirt and are familiar with how to grow their own food. That's the most practical, future that we see, I think, that I see for food, for big agriculture.
The chemical inputs cost an arm and a leg and make people sick on top of it all.
Yeah.
So this monoculture way of farming, the factory way we've chosen to farm, is completely uneconomic, really. If you add up not just all the inputs, but all the side effects,
Right.
the flooding, the dead soil, the dead bees, the dead flowers, the dead children, for God's sake, who have gotten too much glyphosate into their blood. If you put those into the cost of that farming, it would be completely out of the question.
Right.
But the corporations have been very smart in making certain costs external to their own behavior. The public pays those costs,
Right.
and they just take the profit. So this is a way of, and I'm glad to hear that Davis was really the monoculture center and the big farm machinery. Get your $100 million farm machine, and then you don't need any workers.
Yeah, I'm in the sustainable agriculture track, so I think that's part of my, teachings on this subject. But yeah, I think that it's growing. That's a growing voice in Davis. I think we're trying to counter that Monsanto voice that's been so loud for so long.
We've got to stop them from buying all the politicians. That's the problem. I'm very serious. That's our problem. And I hate to tell you, one of Hillary's big backers is Monsanto. That is another reason that she disqualifies herself for me. But there's something else about Davis. Anything else about
Well, I just want to say thank you for some of the supporters that have helped this garden. UC Davis master gardeners included, from Alan Warren's District 2 office to Sacramento Tree Foundation,
Hey.
who donated the fruit trees that we have. We've got some great fruit trees. I know there's so many, and I don't want to forget it.
Figs? Do you have any
anybody.
figs?
We do have figs.
Yes.
We have we've got figs and pomegranates.
Fig tree
Yes.
on the fence that was already in the lot.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a huge fig tree. There's another one.
Is it green figs or black figs?
Mission.
Black-
Yeah.
Mission.
Yeah.
Oh la la. Is it into
There
its
was
third
a whole
crop?
lot, like,
Oh, it's older than
It's
that.
over?
It's older
Yeah.
than
It was
that.
like-
They've been there for quite
No,
a while.
but I mean, are there any
This
figs on the tree
seasonally,
right now, or they're
right
gone?
now?
I
They're
think
gone,
they're
actually.
gone now.
Well, sometimes late in the year, one more crop comes out. Okay, next year.
Yeah.
You did, Robin, you didn't tell me.
I'll think of you next.
Listen, I go around on my bike through the alleys of Sacramento looking for
Yeah.
the fig tree that hangs over,
Yeah.
and see people are neatening up everything. You know, that's one of the things that I have against leaf blowers, is that we need those leaves to be on the dirt and to go back into the dirt.
Yeah.
You know, rather
Yeah,
than blowing the toxic dust into the air and taking the leaves away, you know, so.
It's amazing to learn how we're all connected to that.
We are learning so much about how we need to live, and hard times will make us learn very fast.
Man.
Yes. Yes.
So we're
Very true.
preparing for
Yeah.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
We
we
are.
are.
Really?
I want to be able to teach others. I mean, we're looking to having training classes and things like that that we would do for the community, for the youth and the kids for their garden. And so, you know, we're definitely looking for more ways to spread out the message and to help.
I can imagine you guys visiting a school or two,
Absolutely.
you know, taking in some stuff. One of the saddest videos you can see is the chef who goes into the school, a city school, and says, you know, what is this? And he holds up a tomato.
And they don't know what it
I
is.
don't know what it is.
Apple?
Right.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And all those organic, wonderful vegetables are very expensive.
Yes, they are.
That's the other thing.
That is very
expensive.
true.
And that's why if you can teach people to put a little plot of squash,
Absolutely.
you know, a little tomato plant, you don't have to have a whole huge garden.
Right.
And even Portland is planting fruit trees in its city parks.
Wow.
See,
Yeah.
there are all kind of, once you get into the idea of becoming food sufficient. So, any change you think in the community from sharing it from this garden, or? Arsene, are you ready?
Go
Do you
ahead,
think there's been a
Arjuna.
change? Do your friends ask where you've been?
my friends, during the summer, whenever I went back to the club that I went to, they would always see me, like, if they saw my Vans were dirty, because I would wear my Vans into the garden. They'd see my Vans are dirty, I'm wearing a spaghetti strap shirt, and they're like, she probably went to the garden. I was like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm late. I was at the garden at my church. And they're like, you go to church till I done? She was like, I'm in the garden. So
Not church, the garden.
the garden, the garden. I'm outside, baking in the heat, having fun, kind of.
Did any of them get interested?
Not really, because they scare me.
Yeah, they might be watching. Don't say anything bad about your Well, are you putting in a winter crop?
I think
Yes.
we
Is
are.
the kale going in?
Yes,
Do we got
kale,
kale? I think we
green,
do have
Cilantro?
collards.
We've
I think
got
we had celery, but then we
cilantro.
planted at the wrong time of year, so.
What did you plant at the wrong time of year?
Celery.
Celery is hard, isn't it? Isn't it a huge
I
water?
think we planted it in the middle of
Yeah,
Some
we're-
of those things didn't
we've
make
made a lot of
it.
mistakes,
Planted,
yeah.
a lot of
We got
mistakes.
some things that we
I was
planted
really
that
sad
didn't
because
do.
I only got 2 strawberries out of the whole year. It was totally worth it though.
Well, you know, when you eat a strawberry like that, you think, what have I been eating all these years? Because there's a strawberry flavor that you do not get.
I will say the cantaloupe that came out is the best cantaloupe that I've ever had.
People
It
are
was
fainting
so
here.
sweet. It was so good. And so even the melons, the watermelons that grew over the summer,
Yes.
they were all very good. It just was amazing to say, hey, wow, I've seen this from birth and these things. And this is something that I would, probably go shop to get that I actually have, that I was a part of to see it to grow. And so it's really amazing. Sometimes it's like, do I eat this or do I just nourish it? Just watch it.
We'll
so
take a lot of
excited about
photos.
it.
Well, and you could go to the store and buy the same melon and it wouldn't have the taste.
Yes.
Because
That's
it's not
it.
vine ripened.
It's not vine
Yes.
ripened.
Picked too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I learned a little trick thanks to my friend Robin over here.
Okay.
When we're harvesting melons, she said pinch the stem, and if the stem is soft enough, then it should come right off, and that's how you'll know it's ripe. You should be able to smell it too. I know that from the internet. And just sniffing it at the store to see if it's going to be sweet at all.
Right.
Sniff
Well, the
it.
farmer's market stuff is good, but it's still not as good as the stuff that comes out of somebody's garden.
Yeah.
And the minutes that it's in the air are minutes lost of its freshness and flavor, and
Yeah.
zap. So what do we need to add? We have about 10 minutes to add to what we want people to know about a garden. Did you have to have a permit?
We did not have to have a permit. Matter of fact, I think there was an ordinance that just passed recently
Yes.
about being able to sell some of those crops without having to get the permit. So we're looking forward to some things that are coming down the pipeline, and that we'll be able to help to use those donations to raise the funds, to be able to grow more, to be able to do more things for the garden and for the community.
Well, selling the fruits and vegetables would be great. And then it would be great, is anyone getting a grant together?
We are working with looking at putting some grants out. We're reaching out to places like the Sierra Health Foundation and even some of the banks to pitch in and say, hey, this is your community, we need your help. So we're hoping to get some responses from Lowe's and Home Depot. The city did donate a large portion of our irrigation system, and so we're very happy about that because those expenses they
And
cost.
mulch.
And we've got one of the local stores that are delivering mulch to us on a weekly
kept
basis.
Yeah, more than enough.
She kept talking. She kept
Well,
talking.
are you the one who arranged that?
She would stop by. One time we were in the car, we were on our way to the church, and she literally stopped the smut guy because he was trimming the trees, and she asked him to send it down to the church. I was like, "Run." She literally went all the way around to go in the alley, stop him, give him a card, write down her number and everything, and ask him to send that to the church. I don't think he came, but she's been talking to a bunch of people since, and now we have like huge mountains of mulch back there.
Yeah.
But you don't have to dig it all in. It's turning to mulch as it's in a pile.
Yeah.
I confess I don't have a real official mulch system, but I just dig a spade of dirt out and put in my garbage, and I cover it up with a spade of dirt. Then I have to cover it with a board and some rocks because the raccoons come, and they dig, and I've got to get some hot red pepper, I'm sorry to say, to make the raccoons realize that they're not really invited.
That's right.
Well, we've gotten 27 truckloads, I've been counting,
Yes.
of mulch. I mean, it's a lot. It's huge mountains. We can't just let it sit there,
Like
but we're
Mount
spreading it out.
Multrist.
Yeah.
We're spreading
I
it
named
out.
it Mount Multrist.
You're what?
Mount Multrist. That's that much mulch. You literally are. I am childish enough to stand up on the top of it and be like, I climbed to the top of Mount Multrist. Like, it's fun
But
though.
one of the good things about that is that we want to be able to reach out to other gardens as well to come to get some of the mulch for themselves as well. And so we're hoping that some do come out and use those things. It's very important. I didn't realize how much important it is to the garden because it does manage the weeds that grow and so much less work that you have to do in pulling those weeds out by hand when you have that mulch. So
It also
it's very useful.
preserves the water, the moistness of the earth.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Plus, it's not wasting.
Yeah.
It would have to go in a landfill or be treated like garbage, and it's wonderful, useful, future food.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that we learn a lot from our first one this year, that we can have a larger harvest. I know that one of the things when UC Davis tested the soil for us, we were hearing that we had some of the best soil that they've ever seen. And I just think that this is just God's touch over the soil. It's just things that we know that probably we've messed up and it still grew. It's like, how did that happen?
It does.
And so we're very fortunate to have that and want to be able to do so much more with it because it just was sitting there.
Yeah.
And now we've got an opportunity to give it back and give life to others. So it's great.
The spaghetti squash and the butternut squash. Oh my God. I didn't think I would like these things.
She cooked it.
My Lord.
She cooked it.
My pastor showed me got something off of YouTube, and I cooked the spaghetti squash. I put the Italian sausage with it.
I thought Uncle Maurice
Oh my
told you how
God!
to do that.
Yes, it was very good.
Oh, and one other thing I wanted to talk about the effects on the community that I think this garden has had, is that I think it's such a great exemplar of what all of these vacant lots that you see around all over Sacramento, but especially Del Paso, just for people
South
in the
area
neighborhood.
also, all the less advantaged.
Yeah.
The poorer neighborhoods have plenty of vacant lots
Yeah.
because nobody wants to build condos.
Yeah.
So let's have gardens.
And just just to see this garden be put into place in what was once a vacant lot that everyone could see, and what great dirt was hidden under all of those weeds, I think is really positive.
Have you had any vandalism of your garden?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have
Stolen fruit trees.
stolen fruit trees.
They stole 2 of our trees.
More than one tree?
Two.
Darn.
I think, did they take the pluout tree? Or do they
Yes.
still?
Well, this is to you, you lousy garden thieves. Right, darn your eyes anyway. We don't like that. And
If they had just waited a little while, they could have come and worked a little, and we would have given them fruit.
and you probably didn't get the trees in fast enough to keep the trees.
Right,
Right.
they need to have both of them together, and they didn't have the other one. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very bad, very bad.
But I often see people walking along the sidewalk, along the edge, and they look over and they're curious and they ask questions, and I think it's just a matter of time.
Yes.
People will start.
And you know, if you could get it to be a class project in one of the nearby schools, that would be great. They could
Absolutely.
come
We would
one
love
day
to
a
do
week
that.
and visit and work. And
Love to do
and
that.
they, you know, it is really true. Kids will eat the vegetables they see growing when
Totally
they pick
true.
it off
Yes.
a plant. This string bean suddenly tastes like a candy bar. Even better.
Tomatoes.
Yes.
It is a wonderful example. It's doing by example and building community through working together.
Well, and a metaphor for life. I mean, that's what we've talked about. We made a lot of mistakes, as
Yes.
always.
Yes.
People do, and learning from the mistakes, and just realizing patience. You know, you
Yes.
try something, that doesn't work, and the garden really helps teach that, I think. And so for children, for everyone, it's wonderful.
You got to have patience with a garden.
Yes.
You do.
You know, if I plant seeds, I have to go out every day. Yeah, even though I know it'll be 2 weeks before they come up. I have to. Is that one? And the very first garden I planted in Silmar as a young married, I pulled up all the flowers. I thought they were weeds.
Oh,
I had a
no.
huge crop of weeds that grew. And I was wanting to have sweet peas. And then the next year I had the sweet peas, but that was fun. And do you have any flowers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have a couple
We
of flowers.
we have a natural sunflower. We have another sunflower, but I don't think it's exactly natural. Like it's
Just
not exactly
ornamental.
edible. I think it's ornamental. Trying to remember. I haven't been out there quite.
Do you have marigolds?
No.
Aren't marigolds supposed to be good
Yeah, that's a good
anti-nematode?
idea.
That
Yeah.
is a good idea.
Morning glories don't really count because they try to kill our garden.
Oh yeah, they'll kill the garden.
They try to eat my tomatoes.
Well, you know, I picked coffee in Nicaragua, and that was quite a lesson. And they have a little morning glory that smothers their coffee trees. Little pernicious white one. I'm sure you've seen those.
Yeah.
They're the real
Pretty.
weed. No beautiful blue flower. But the thing that I learned there was you could pick up a handful of dirt in Nicaragua, and because there were no pesticides or anything, when you opened your hand, the dirt just went like this, moving. It had so many little life forms in it.
Wow.
It was alive, you know.
Wow.
And I thought of our dust, you know, in our big monoculture farms where the dirt is absolutely dead.
Right.
And there's nothing in it for the plants except what we put in it, which, of course, doesn't match what nature puts in it through mulch.
Right.
So do you have any thoughts about what we need to tell people? We have, 8 minutes now? 7. I have such a bad sense of time that 6. We have 6 minutes. What do we have to tell people? Do we have any other things that we haven't told people?
Another thing I learned from Robin.
Okay.
For aphids, we finally figured this out. Ladybugs eat aphids. So get a bunch of ladybugs for your garden if you're struggling with aphids. Or
Well,
to
now where do
prevent
you get the
aphids.
ladybugs?
You can catch them like an awesome child, or I think you can get them I don't know exactly where she got them. I think
At the Ladybug store?
One places that sell plants often sell them, yeah, the nursery.
Yeah, nursery.
So you get their natural enemy to go against them, because otherwise
Yeah.
I did try to do squash in my plot here in Sacramento. And the little aphids, and it all got white and very sad,
Yeah.
So now I do oregano. And mint, oregano and mint, and then I count on other people.
But yeah, our squash got mildew, got white, and for a while I was totally freaking out, but it's still making squash.
Yeah.
So I think you
Yes.
realize
Still
sometimes,
making squash.
everybody's
Beauty
different.
isn't everything.
Yeah, or like
Right.
all people are different, all plants are different,
I
and
don't know if
sometimes
that one squash plant is still giving us squash like almost every week.
the butternut and the
The zucchini one. Because
Now we
during
take
the
that.
no
summer,
longer, yeah.
Yeah.
during the summer, there was this one squash plant. Almost every week, there would be a fat zucchini, or either it was long or fat. Almost every week, there would be something there. So it's like, we're never gonna stop picking from this plant, are we? So they would be everywhere. The plant was going. I was like, I can't pick this anymore. I might break the plant.
Yeah. It's
You
amazing
have
to
to
see.
twist
Zucchini is the vegetable that keeps on giving.
Yes.
You know, and
yeah,
people used to
yes.
get up really early with boxes of it and take it to their neighbors. And by the time they got home, somebody would have left a box in their neighborhood. Right, yeah. Oh, no, that's why we got zucchini bread, zucchini ice cream, etc. You know,
And in
So-
one day, it goes from this to this.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's really
have to
fast.
keep on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look at it on my search and be like,
Well, I hope that people who are watching this see that there are things you can do yourself. Nobody got you together officially. There were no rules or government regulations that made you do this. Somebody got the idea, went out and started to talk to somebody who had that vacant lot, and pretty soon things were happening. And you have fruit trees, you have vegetables, you have a bunch of people who have learned a whole lot about the processes of nature. And when everything hits the fan, which it seems very likely to do in the various crises that we face, there will be people among us who know how to put a seed in the right depth at the right time and the right amount, and how to water it and not too much, and how to make it food. This is incredibly valuable.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, I'm so proud of you all. I want to tell folks who are out there, I mentioned that if you want to support me personally and Soapbox, to tune into KVMR and join this radio station at any given amount. The one thing we've learned with Bernie Sanders is that several million people giving $5 apiece can raise $13 million. Think of that. Now that tells us a lesson that we have power if we share the little bit that we have and get it all together at one time. If you want to do something for the Soapbox to come, you can write a check for whatever amount you can afford. Write it to Access Sacramento and put Soapbox in the little notation corner. Did I say this already on this show?
No.
No, this is the problem of doing two shows in a row. It's like teaching two classes of the same kind. You think, did I say it in this class or did I say it in that class? Anyway, write a check to Access Sacramento, put Soapbox in the bottom corner of the notation, and that will be cashed by Access Sacramento, and they will make a fund if enough money comes in, or even if some money comes in, to see if we can support some of the inventive programs that are coming along. We can help crew people pay for their lessons to learn how to be a crew person. If you know people in your circle of friends who have a little time right now, I think of all the unemployed people. They can come down to this station, learn how to work the equipment, and then you could have the farm show, for crying out loud. You could visit different farms in the city. You could talk about what's on, what you've learned. I mean, it doesn't have to be an hour. It could be half an hour. TV could be wonderful.
Yes.
It's not. It's terrible. You know, I always say to people, I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV. I make TV. And we could do the same thing. We could all make TV, and we could make it be meaningful.
Like good TV, yes.
And intelligent.
Yes.
It could happen, but
Yes,
we
it
have to get people who work the equipment. So, and that can happen if you people get involved. And it is hard. It's hard to get up. Have you noticed once you turn on your TV, you never turn it off and go do something else? Have you noticed that?
Addictive.
Yeah.
It's
It can
addictive.
be very addictive.
Facebook is the same way. I'm completely addicted to Facebook. But go on our Facebook page. It's seconds. We're counting it down, folks. Thank you for being with me on my last
Thank you for
show.
having us.
You are doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're making
Thank
such a
you.
difference. I'm sorry that we didn't get our one other participant on, but maybe you'll be on again with the new women who are doing the new show.
That would be
You know,
nice.
an update.
We would love to come back.
And you people, of course, I want to thank the crew. We've had wonderful luck with wonderful crew people, including Allison Wells, Greg Popejoy, Caroline Stevenson, Steve Barraza. Lots of people aren't here tonight, which is a shame. They had different obligations for the moment. But I thank you, people out there, for coming and being with us every Monday night. And I've always invited you happily and been happy to see you coming because you know why. People really do matter.
Yeah.
Come back to Soapbox. Thank you. Yep. Oh, I found out that we don't have music, so when the credits are running, we just have to chat among ourselves.